All right, the Cleveland Browns circus continues. This has been an embarrassing situation. It's been an unfair sabotage situation going on from day one for Shedeur Sanders, and people have been calling it out. People are on it, and Kevin Stefanski won't make it through. As it appears, owner Jimmy Haslem has sided with Andrew Berry, the GM, in this situation. It looks like Andrew Berry will be safe and retain his job with the Cleveland Browns, while Kevin Stefanski is about to be fired. We got to break this down. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share that channel, hit the bell notification, and hype the video. Let's get right into things. Kevin Stefanski, your job will not be saved by Shedeur Sanders. The fact that he looks this good, and the fact that you did not give him any reps in training camp all through the season up until it was time for him to actually start, it makes it more and more a fireable offense. And you are there's people out there trying to give Kevin Stefanski credit for how good Shedeur Sanders is playing, and it's not going to work. Jimmy Haslem not buying it. We got to get into this. Let's take a listen to what they had to say over here on 92.3 The Fan, on the Fan. Let's see what they had to say, man.
Now, it should be noted, we didn't get to the Albert Breer report yesterday, where
Albert Breer is a known Shedeur Sanders hater, by the way.
I couldn't tell whether Albert Breer was saying that the most likely thing is that Berry and Stefanski are back, or if maybe there's more of a chance than we all believe that at least one of them is gone. But it does seem like if you take that as kind of where the Browns are, that the Browns might not have a firm grasp on where they're going with Kevin Stefanski or Andrew Berry going forward.
Yeah, and listen, I have no idea how they make up their mind on Andrew Berry at this point, although Andrew Berry seems like he's almost 100% safe.
Yeah.
I think all of us could agree we'd be shocked if tomorrow, or let's say at the end of the season, it came out that Andrew Berry was part of the firing. It really comes down to whether or not Kevin has been able to do enough through Shedeur in order to keep his job.
Yeah, and I just think in general,
No, Kevin Stefanski will not receive credit for the Shedeur Sanders success. We're not having it.
I think the Browns can say we play nice together and kumbaya and all that other stuff and thought partners and all that. You have two straight seasons where you lose this much, and eventually someone's going to come looking for a scapegoat. And in fairness, the Browns have had a scapegoat darn near every year.
Well,
right?
And it could be easy to find one. And yes, they always have one going back to the Joe Woods days. They've always been able to find somebody. If at the end of the season they wanted to make Bubba Ventrone the scapegoat, they could do that. Now, we might all say that's not good enough, and we might scream about it, but they would then turn around and be like, all right, like really, the Bubba Ventrone move is the same as the Ken Dorsey move.
Yeah.
That's just changing something up and then saying, all right, we've done something a little bit different.
I think what's interesting about this is we're right in the kind of position where I would expect them to be making the decision, but I'm not concerned if they don't have a plan yet.
Well, I get what you're saying, but what's interesting to me is that it feels like 95% of the fan base has already made up their mind.
Yeah, that usually happens.
So what is the other 5% hanging on to that would be the same thing that Haslem is hanging on to? Like I saw somebody earlier today. Forgive me, it wasn't anybody that is like in the media's place or anything like that. It was just a fan that I follow. And he was like, all right, so tell me why we shouldn't keep Stefanski. And the responses back were like, well, he's won 6 games in 2 years. That's the end of the conversation. Because the guy was trying to legitimately make a case that Stefanski had done a good enough job and seemed like he was good at his job. And it was like, you're just ignoring the wins part of it?
Yeah, 6 wins in 2 years, that's a fireable offense.
You're just ignoring how many losses he has? Like we know this. We know Jimmy Haslem told us. He told everybody in that thing that got leaked out, 5 games into the season, that 3 wins isn't good enough. That's what he said. So if you go 0 for 4 over the next 4 weeks, I don't know how Jimmy Haslem would walk away thinking this was good.
Well, but I actually think this is a defense of that. If you're Jimmy and you want to have the most amount of information for this year, I don't think this year should be the make or break. But then again, if it isn't, then you could have just fired him last offseason. But I can understand if you go, all right, we finally are getting good quarterback play. We have a one-off bad defensive performance. Let's see what happens in the final 4 games. I can see Jimmy having, because there's a personal relationship. You and I don't have a day-to-day personal relationship over the last 6 years with Kevin Stefanski. Nobody but the beat reporters in town really have. So, and even then, there's stretches of time where they're not hanging out, chilling with Kevin Stefanski, like if you're in the office. Like, at some point, you got to make a decision real quick because you're going to have to act real quick. But I get it if Jimmy's thinking to himself, I at least owe it to Kevin to let this go down to the wire, and I don't think we're at the wire yet.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Like, if you want to see...
I don't think Kevin Stefanski should get any credit for the success of Shedeur Sanders. And many people, we already see, it appeared Andrew Berry is safe. Andrew Berry is safe. Andrew Berry has hit on Carson Schlesinger in the second round. His first round pick of Mason Graham. His second round pick of Quinshawn Judkins. The pick of Harold Fannin. Like, he's looking good. Shedeur Sanders, he didn't want Dylan Gabe. Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. Andrew Berry is looking good in terms of the draft and the talent he brought in. He went to the store and bought some good groceries. It's up to Kevin Stefanski to make a meal, and he has not been able to make a meal. It's that simple.
What the next 4 games are, like, is there a part of Haslem that just wants to make sure that if Shedeur is awesome over the next 4 games and you're winning a lot of these games and you look competitive in these games, that he wants to keep that continuity alive? Is that going to be the case?
Yes, 100%.
Like, because there is the thought process out there, and we can debate, again, we have the amount of credit that Shedeur deserves versus what Stefanski deserves, but there's a thought out there that if it's rolling, why would you disband that?
Yeah.
And so, the last thing Haslem could do is fire Stefanski, hire Robert Saleh, let's say, a defensive-minded coach, and then watch Shedeur take a step backwards next year, and then everybody wonder, oh, no, did we make a mistake? And so that's what I think the next 4 games are. And that's where I think he is. He's trying to figure out how much of this is because Shedeur is just Shedeur, and how much of this is we need to make sure it's a Shedeur and Stefanski collab. And this is what's actually happening.
Well, and remember, the Browns can still be making inroads and having conversations. There are times where those conversations happen in November and December, and the coach keeps their job. Whether they're talking to agents or canvassing kind of the market, just to size up, hey, if we do have to make a move, what? So you could have already done the background work if you need to make a move. Here's something I also think that in terms of, because again, I've made up my move. I'm done with Stefanski. Right. And I don't think I can get rid of Stefanski and Berry, so I'll take the guy that I think is part of the problem out, and I'll give anyone that wants to say Andrew Berry just had maybe the best draft in Cleveland Browns history, I'll give you, it's recency bias. He could tank this next draft, but I'll at least give you this draft, right? If I give John Dorsey the first 4 picks of the 2018 draft and hold that up as gospel, I got to do the same with this.
Yeah, Andrew Berry has hit on these draft picks, and look, man, Kevin Stefanski got to go.
But, like, I can at least make that. But I understand if Jimmy goes, all right, we'll do that background stuff, but there's just not a guy out there that I'm concerned about losing, right? Like, there are guys I like. I've mentioned David Shaw, although I know that was meant to crickets. If he
Not
ends
for
up,
me, I like David Shaw.
Well, no, I meant like in general, like fans of that's the guy you want.
I've always liked David Shaw.
I talked to John Gruden. I talked to Mike McCarthy. I talked to Adam Stenovich of Green Bay. I talked to a lot of people because to me, I don't give a rat's patootie. That's the second time I've said patootie in the show. I'm sorry, guys. The rat's ass. I don't care when the search starts. It's just, to me, it then becomes, because there's not a singular Vrabel, Belichick, Carroll in this.
Man, I don't care who y'all go get. You know what I mean? I prefer a young offensive mind, but all I know is Kevin Stefanski got to get the hell up out of there. And it appears that Andrew Berry is safe. With the stuff he's done in the draft, he's safe. Kevin Stefanski's not. Get down in the comments. Let me know what you think. This is Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel.